Good afternoon and welcome to this presentation from Orbital Innovations. This is on virtual and augmented reality, otherwise known as XR or extended reality. And this presentation is about why and how you should think about adopting it. Okay, so let me introduce myself. My name's Adam Spears. I'm Software Development Manager here at Orbital. I've got 20 years experience in software development, business analysis and project management. And I help to run our projects and programs here at Orbital, including building applications for VR and AR. So, extended reality really comprises two main topics, virtual reality and augmented reality. And they are slightly different. Virtual reality are computer simulations in which a person is completely immersed or embedded in the environment. These use headsets that you put on your head, and so everything that you see in your visual field is part of the simulation itself. Whereas augmented reality is when you've got computer graphics overlaid over the real world. The most common usage of this would be using a tablet or a phone screen, pointing the camera at a real world object. And as you can see from this screenshot, getting some extra information overlaid within the real view with some computer graphics or animations that help you to understand better what it is that you're looking at. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about virtual reality and where it came from and where we think it's going to in the future. So as you can see here, a famous quote by Palmer Luckey, founder of Oculus Rift and probably still working for Meta in the Oculus world. VR is a way to escape the real world in something more fantastic, has to be the potential to be the most social technology of all time. And if we've looked into the news recently, we've seen Mark Zuckerberg, who now owns Oculus, talking about the metaverse. And Microsoft also have a vision of the metaverse for collaborative working, which we'll look at a bit further in a few more slides. So where does VR come from? Well, virtual reality, or the sense of putting you within an environment, a virtual environment, has been around for a really long time. The Wheatstone mirror stereoscope, which was invented in 1839, used a 45-degree mirror, basically give you an image, one for each eye. And then your brain uses this stereoscopic effect to rebuild in 3 dimensions exactly how an image would appear in a kind of 3-dimensional sense. Later in 1956, Sensorama VR machine had 3D full-color video, audio, vibrations, smell, and even some other crazy effects, like if it was a windy kind of video, then they would blow some air around the head. It was a really funky thing. But it never really had kind of like a mainstream appeal. You would really need to go to somewhere like Disney World, Florida to experience the Sensorama. In 1989, NASA, as part of the development program for the shuttle, had this View astronaut training device. And this was really similar in concept to something you might have used yourself, like Google VR Cardboard. But it was really groundbreaking in 1989. And actually, rather than you having the experience powered by a smartphone, it required a computer the size of a small house in order to get this simulation to run. And in 1991, we had the first virtual reality arcade machines. These were really sophisticated. And again, most of that chair that he's sitting on is actually made up of completely state-of-the-art hardware that was available at the time in order to accelerate the graphics to the point where it was a usable experience. But we've come a long way since then, and modern VR devices can help pack that processing power into a much, much smaller footprint. If you've ever had a go with Google Cardboard, it produces a surprisingly excellent effect. It uses the stereoscopic method, so it renders the same image, but once for each eye, and then your brain pulls those two images together, overlays them, and creates the stereoscopic 3D effect. It's really clever, and with modern smartphones having high-resolution screens and really quite sophisticated processors now, I think the latest smartphone processors The graphical element of those processors, certainly on the latest iPhones and Android flagships, are approaching approximately PS3, maybe PS4 version 1, Xbox One levels of graphical fidelity. So you can get some really quite compelling experiences on the phone now. Standalone VR, untethered experience. I think the best selling device of this type over the Christmas period was the Oculus Quest 2. And again, it's got a very similar processor to a modern flagship smartphone, so it can really drive that visual fidelity and produce a good VR gaming experience. And then at the high end, we've got tethered VR. These are powered by the GPU within your machine, and if you can drive, say, a 4K screen with these with your PC, then that means that you can generate two side-by-side, say, 2K images and drive a really high-fidelity VR experience to the headset. Oculus Quest 2. Talked about this before, and it's taking the VR mainstream over. I think the latest sales figures as of January 2022, I've seen some sales figures that Oculus Quest is now approaching 10 million sales. And that makes a really sizable market to go after. That's a really kind of powerful user base now. And, you can get console quality levels of graphics. And that's a really strong installed user base to target applications at. And at the moment, it's £299, which is cheaper than the latest high-end generation consoles. But more importantly, it's also available and you can buy one. So where else is VR currently being used? So VR is used in healthcare. It allows doctors and other medical technicians to explore things in ways that wouldn't necessarily be easy with a flat screen. So you're talking about it would allow the doctor to use a VR headset to really see in depth what's happening inside a patient's body. So on the screen in front of you, you can see a doctor using a VR headset. But what he might actually be looking at within the headset itself is a view down a laparoscopic camera for a surgical procedure, and he's actually seeing the view from inside the body, from the camera's eye view. Automotive and industrial. So some big companies there, but they use VR to hold early design and engineering views, check the visual design of new vehicles. But what that really means is it allows them to put a 3D model of like a new concept car. They can embed that in a photorealistic environment, so they can see what does that car look like on somebody's driveway? What does that car look like on the road? How does it compare to the competitors? They can put it side by side with other models and see if it's got the right visual aesthetic. And they can do simple things like open the boot, and they can put in virtual shopping to see, okay, well, how usable is this new design? So that can really help to aid them to see where they can optimize things to get the best possible result for their new design. And in tourism, VR can provide an absolutely fantastic experience. If you've ever wanted to go to the Niagara Falls, or you've ever wanted to be at the pyramids in Egypt, one of these VR 360 video experiences can really give you a sense of being in that place, especially with the immersion that's afforded by 3D audio. You can really get a feel for what it's like to be in some of those fantastic locations. Real estate. Now, with COVID-19 pandemic, we're starting to see more and more of this, with people taking 360 views of people's homes. They're going to put those on the market so you can walk around the house from your perspective and thinking of buying, look around the rooms in all directions. I think that's a really powerful use case for VR. And I think, especially if they can put it on maybe the much more accessible type of VR, like Google Cardboard, that's a really compelling experience. Education and training. This allows you to experience the real world within the safety of an educational and training environment. This has been used for lots of things, but it allows you to you could do 360 videos and a VR experience to really give you a sense of a day in the life of what's it like to be the driver of a train? What's it like to be a pilot? What's it like to be a soldier? The VR experience can really help embed you in the day-to-day activities of one of those kind of occupations and allow you to experience it in a much more first-hand, tangible way. And of course, entertainment and sports. So watching VR football is an absolutely amazing experience. It's just like being at the game itself because you don't have to watch the action as directed by the TV company. You can look anywhere you want on the pitch at any time. Challenges to overcome to adopt VR: cost. Okay, so the cost of VR, a decent VR experience, is really coming down. As we mentioned, modern smartphone hardware and the hardware in things like the Oculus Quest 2 are really making a quality graphical experience much more available to everybody than it ever was before. Hardware limitations, of course, you're always going to have limitations at the moment. Battery life for standalone headsets is obviously going to be one. And with tethered headsets, although you can have potentially much higher graphical horsepower driving the experience, you do then have to have the question of dealing with cables and a tethered experience itself. Another thing to overcome when adopting VR is you think, okay, well, it's a niche product. But as we said before, the consumer base for VR experiences, especially with the Oculus Quest store, is growing at a rapid pace. And I think when we get to the end of 2022, I think the Oculus Quest store will have some absolutely fantastic traction in terms of, it will be a place that lots of high-end developers want to put experiences on. And so it will attract better developers and the consumer base will grow and grow and grow. Okay, other reasons to consider adopting VR, especially if you're talking about giving people a sense of place in space. It's much more compelling to have a walk around a virtual home in the full 360 experience than it is just looking at some two-dimensional photos, often that have been taken with a super wide-angle lens to make the rooms look bigger than they really are. When you can actually go around and explore a space, you'll get a much better sense about whether or not that's somewhere you want to be. Another compelling reason for developing a VR experience is, as we said, the ability to try before you buy or experience something before you get there. So this could be a VR showroom for automotive manufacturers. It could be a holiday company saying, okay, you want to come to Switzerland and you want to try skiing? You could have a 360 tour, go up on the ski lift, get up onto the piste and enjoy going down one of the pistes, so one of the runs, just to experience what it's going to be like to be there and have a go. Augmented reality. We believe augmented reality is going to change the way we use technology forever. And that was said by Tim Cook, Chief Executive of Apple. And AR, augmented reality, is really coming on leaps and bounds. The technology, as you can see, has moved quite slowly, but is really starting to accelerate now. And that is partly because as of 2017, we had AR Kit from Apple, AR core software that could detect flat surfaces and enhance them with augmented reality features built into the core operating systems for iPhone and Android phones. And that's really been a step change in the industry. Unity has made use of the AR core functionalities for both those kind of phones. And 60% of all content that uses augmented reality, usually on mobile handsets, is now powered by Unity. And we've got 1 billion users that can use AR facilities worldwide now. 26% and growing of all smartphones are AR Kit or AR Core compatible. Let's have a look at some of the experience. Reasons to consider adopting AR. So we've got training and education. Millennials now make up 50% of the workforce. AR can be used to train complex relations in relation to the workspace. Product demos. Try before you buy. Again, this is using augmented reality to allow you to visualize how an object might appear in real world space. And there's really good examples of that. So shopping experiences. So Ikea, you can take your camera phone out, you can point it into your front room, you can select an item of Ikea furniture, be it a chair, a sofa, or a dressing table, and you can put it into your real world room and see how it will look. You can move it around, see where it's going to fit in space. Gamification. Augmented reality for gamification can be really useful and could be used to drive some really encouraging, like really engrossing educational experiences as well. So you can use augmented reality to do things like body pose tracking. So you can have a virtual yoga instructor on the screen and you can see yourself standing next to them and it will track your body pose and see if you're moving in the right way to get the exercise done correctly. So where is AR currently being used? So as we said before, education with gamification. Orbital here have an award-winning product in the form of Myosphyra. This is an application that teaches children how to use an asthma inhaler. And it uses augmented reality to help build engagement with the child and help them to understand how the inhaler fits together. So they can see on screen within their own living room all the constituent parts and they can help build it and they can really understand exactly all the different techniques to using the inhaler effect. What about the future of AR? There are some incredible things coming for AR. So on the left, we've got mixed reality and wearables. And this is another Unity development whereby architects can help to create CAD models of a construction site, and then they can use this with a headset, so that when the construction workers are in the actual space, could just be the shell of the building. But as you can see in this picture, it uses the architectural information to overlay the real world into the real world, exactly where all the machinery, piping, plumbing and wiring needs to go. So this guy can really visualize now exactly where they're going to need to do things in that environment to get it ready as a workplace. Remote assistance. So augmented reality is a remote assistance tool. So this could be, again, this could be like a medical or surgical focus, but using augmented reality, it could help to beam medical information across, say, continents, maybe, really. You can have a surgeon assist another surgeon in another country through the use of augmented reality. Indoor navigation. Now, we've all used Google Maps or similar to get about outdoors, but AR also has the ability to transform indoor navigation. Imagine if you went to a shopping mall and it could download in a sense into your phone, like an internal version of Google Maps for the shopping complex that you've just gone into. And another use case here is in a warehouse. The guy just knows that he needs to collect the constituent parts for this order number, and the indoor navigation app now knows exactly where they are on all the shelves within the warehouse. Another future of AR is that the faster and faster mobile telecommunication networks are making more experiences more available to more people. So this is an opportunity for developing experiences that can be pushed over the web. With 5G data speeds, having experiences that are rich enough to be useful as AR and having them develop, transmissible fast enough to the phone for it to be a good experience is now becoming a reality. And the military have got a huge deal with Microsoft for the HoloLens. And this is where they're using like augmented reality to enhance like battlefield readiness. So we got that guy standing there on top of his armored vehicle. But what you can't see in that picture is when he goes back inside, the HoloLens takes over and it's like all of the armor plating around him disappears. So his field of view for the battlefield is completely unobstructed by the physical material in front of him, because he's got an overlay of what the cameras outside see on the screens inside. And we'll finish just with the future of AR Microsoft Mesh video. And I think this really puts into perspective how augmented reality is going to change the workplace of the future. And actually, it's not so far in the future as you think, because everything that you see in this demo is a working Microsoft HoloLens product.
Connection is a spark that gives our lives meaning. It drives us to seek out others who feel the same way.
Okay, why don't you input the data and we'll take a look together. Hey Mari, what you got for me?
To find those who share our views, yet offer different perspectives.
Saw this net.
Look over here.
Challenge us with new ways of seeing.
That I think we should
Deepen our understanding. And enrich our lives.
最后一笔的时候，往前。
Great things happen when we commit to something bigger than ourselves.
Let's take a closer look at it.
place this here. Let's see how we go from there, okay?
This sense of collaboration and the feelings of connection it brings excites us.
Hey, just in time. I'm gonna move it slightly, okay?
It's yours, take it.
We have 2 planes right now on the same trajectory.
As we put people first, technology fades into the background and feels like anything but.
Aisha, what do you think?
I think if we had 330, maintaining 2800, we'll be clear for approach.
Excellent.
This changes the way we see the world, and in turn, changes the world we see.
These numbers are looking great, actually.
There's promise in the possibilities, and what we see and create next will stretch the imagination.
Good morning, Sarah.
Morning.
Slowly coming towards the thumb.
A world without boundaries.
Good job. A lot better than yesterday.
Yeah.
Excellent. Slowly bring the
A world where technology enhances, not limits, humanity. With people front, center, and in the spotlight. The future is here. And here can be anywhere. Introducing Microsoft Mesh.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope that inspires you to go out and try something with VR or AR and make something great for the future. Any questions, please contact us. Thanks very much for watching. Bye-bye.